Okay. So then we come to the last meditation, which is exchanging ourselves with others, and Tonglen, giving and taking. So I think all of you are probably familiar with Tonglen, isn't it? Like this meditation of giving what we usually want to keep and taking what we usually don't want to have. And so it's a very powerful meditation, and it can be done in many, many, many different ways. So again, for you, you have to find out which works the best for you. And when do we see that it's working? How is it supposed to work? Question to you, people. Because we always want things to work, right? I mean, we're not just doing things for nothing. And so when you say Tonglen, how can you see when it's working?
When I start seeing that, I start accepting life as it is.
Okay. There's nothing that is right or wrong, right? This is very, very personal.
I don't know, maybe I can see changes in myself and in others, in other people who surround me when I do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I can see that things are being different from the way they used to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's so funny what Dina is saying, because for me, it's finally, I'm stopping to expect people to change.
Right. Okay.
You know, that's why I accept them better.
Okay. Okay.
No, I didn't mean this. What I said was not that. I said that if you give things without expecting anything, it doesn't mean that people do not, even they themselves changed, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
I think so. And for sure, I feel very good doing this. Yeah. And I'm happy that they are happy,
Exactly.
Even I give without really wanting anything back.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, when we talk about Tonglen, it's like it's just a meditation. We're not, of course, then with time, you also have to give something physical, material. But at the beginning, we take whatever is unpleasant and we give whatever is pleasant. Edouard.
Making it easier to be in the other's shoes, and and not necessarily accepting what is going on, but making it easier to understand and to be considerate.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Inat said, she was away and said, stop counting, stop, having an open accounts.
Right. Okay. Yeah. In general, they say like the purpose of this meditation is for us to increase our courage to accept suffering. So it's basically, it's just to increase the courage, because usually when there is suffering coming, we go like this. And, when we have something that is good, we want to keep, like instinctively. So that's what it's for. And we will have a lot of courage when we can decrease the self-cherishing. This is pretty obvious, isn't it? When you see that it's not so important that I get what I wanted. You see, when we start to, as Tina was probably saying, when we start to actually act out there with other people, and we give them the better place or the better piece of cake, or we give them the praise that we were not so ready to give, or whatever, we do it, but we still feel, we have to do this consciously. So it's kind of a little bit fake. It's like we do it, but we do it because we practice bodhicitta, we want to try it out and all this. But then when it comes kind of spontaneous, And as Einat was saying, you're not going like, oh, wow, that was well done like this. It just becomes very natural. So all of these practices that we're doing, actually, the purpose of it is that to decrease our unhelpful emotional state. This is what it's for, right? So I will do it. I think it's from Pema Chodron. I will read it from a text that I have found somewhere, who knows where. I tell you, I have so many notes. And so I will read it. So then at least we know it's something official and something that's not just cooked up by me. So it's quite soft, and it talks a lot also about emptiness, that we should not, we have to think about emptiness, which I really like. But then when you do it the traditional Tibetan way, you imagine yourself cherishing like a black rock in your heart here, in the middle of your chest, and then all the suffering, really heavy, gooey stuff is coming, and you give it to the self-cherishing so that it runs away. So that's the Tibetan version of the whole thing, because the self-cherishing, usually we follow it and we give it whatever it wants to have. But this time then we are not. And so it says, okay, goodbye, I'm going, you're not looking after me anymore. I go find somebody else. So that's the Tibetan version. I don't know if that works so well for us. But this whole thing about going in the middle of your chest and destroying something in there, it can be very threatening for some people. So it's not very helpful. There's other visions or visualizations when your beauty, the natural goodness that we have, the natural space, the natural wisdom, it's like it's covered with a stone or with concrete. Like around it, like there's this beautiful luminous thing in our heart, but it's covered with concrete, and then the negativity kind of hits that concrete, and then all of a sudden it goes, and then then the light starts to shine. And whenever we breathe in through all our pores, we breathe in the heavy stuff. And whenever we breathe out through all our pores, not just from the heart or from the nostrils, like all the goodness is coming. Yeah, so we will do it like according to Pema Chodron, I think it is, must be. It sounds very much like Pema Chodron, which is, of course, she is really a wonderful being, and her teachings are really exceptionally like, wow, So I don't know if you read any of her books. Actually, he has a book on Tonglen, which is very, it's good to read so that we understand, because sometimes we misunderstand it also when we say, oh, I take the suffering of all sentient beings, and then we feel very proud and very arrogant. Look at me, I'm so wonderful. That's not the purpose. Or we keep it, and then we have this black stuff inside. So sometimes when it's a bit difficult to do this with, on the computer, because when I'm in a group and I know the group, then I don't know a little bit what to do when I know that, for example, only one person has a problem with this. So sometimes it's also good just to learn to give first, just to breathe out all the goodness that you have, to share it with others, give it to others, because then we see how much we have to give, and we don't have to be afraid that we're left without anything. That actually the happiness and the spaciousness and all this increases. That's another way. Instead of first, by breathing in, we take, and only then we give. We do it the other way around. First we give, and then we take. And you can do it that for 5 minutes you give, for 5 minutes you take, or you can do with each out breath like this. So many different ways to do that. And I'm sure many different ways. And then you find out which one is a good one, and which one for you seems the most natural one to kind of decrease the self-cherishing and to make more space in your heart. So that, and to increase your courage to be able to bear the suffering in a very, even if we do Tonglen, even if nothing changes, it's still okay. We keep doing it, right? So, and we have this trust that, okay, what else would I do? I would feel depressed or guilty that I can't help, or I would have to suppress or put it aside or ignore what is happening, but this definitely is not helping. So I just keep doing it, because that concrete around our Buddha nature, about the luminous heart, is very, very thick. And sometimes we're able to destroy it, but then, another time, it's so solid that it doesn't work. Is that more or less clear? Yeah. So anyway, I just guided and you follow this, and maybe if you find it helpful, then that's fine. If you don't find it helpful, there's so many other ways you can do this. It's also good sometimes when you are alone and you're doing Tonglen, when you see suffering, it's good to do Tonglen on the spot, right? You feel helpless, you feel useless, and then you do Tonglen, because we had last night, again, an emergency situation here in Switzerland. There's a family who adopted a child from Eritrea, I think, or from Ethiopia, and as a baby. So, he's traumatized already through the whole situation, came into this family. He turned out to be very violent until they found out he is autistic. And he is very violent. There's nothing they can do to break through this violence. I mean, it's really, really difficult. And last night he ran away, and he's maybe now, he must be 11 years old or something. And he ran away. He wanted to go to Milano. I don't know why. And so we have this WhatsApp group. And so the mother, she sent out a message saying that, he's disappeared. So please, can you include him in your prayers? And so everybody did. And then they had to call the police. The police found him, brought him back, but he doesn't want to stay there. He wants to go away. So he can't bear to stand there. They've tried so many things already. And so, the whole group then sits down individually in their place, and they do whatever they find helpful to do. And so people who are able to share this in a Sangha group, like these emergencies, it's really, really helpful. They say it's really helpful that they feel supported, and this is what the Sangha is for. Not just so that we go like, oh, wow, have you heard? It's like, blah, 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 blah. No, it's like, what can I do? And something we can do is to pray for them. And the other thing is like to do Tonglen on the spot. And we just had great success actually with this. Not with this young boy, but I think I told you in the Wednesdays that we're going to do animal liberation because of a very difficult pregnancy of a mother in Poland with twins. So the twins are born. So that seems okay. As a group, we also did a medicine Buddha practice for somebody who's had a heart operation and it didn't work out very well. She had arrhythmia and it was beating far too fast. They wanted to do an electroshock, but then after the puja, then the heart started to calm down. And then there was another thing. Somebody's parents who had to move into an old people's home. And, they were very unpleasant to her and to the people, working there and all this. And all of a sudden she said, I thought it was a miracle. I've never talked to my parents in such a relaxed way like I did like 2 or 3 days ago. So this is what Sangha is for also. We're not alone. We can share the difficult moments that we have. And then whoever feels like doing something, they can do it, even though we're not together in the same group. And although we shouldn't keep account, as Einat said, but it's still good to see that, wow, sometimes it works. So you see, it's not miracle making stuff, right? But in order not to feel so useless, and we do something like this, then sometimes we can shift the energy. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's okay. But for ourselves, it feels more right and more natural when we have something to do. And especially when you sit beside the bed of somebody who is in the process of dying, and it's lasting days and days and days, and the person is not able to let go. And just sitting there, not knowing where to put your mind is very difficult, because then you become very tense and you're not relaxed. Whereas if you have practices like either doing prayers silently to, the 35 Buddhas, Tara, Medicine Buddha, or you do Tonglen, then at least you are more relaxed, right? And when you do Tonglen, of course, when you see that, oh, something is changing outside, is very good. But again, it's like we're not really looking whether something is changing outside, which is something changes, fantastic. If not, then it's okay. I keep doing it anyway. And I'm sure this is what Dina meant, you know, that it's not that, oh, I do it because it works and it has to work. But I just do it, and it's okay to feel happy when we see that it's okay. And then if you have questions about it at the end, you can definitely ask. And then at the end, we do some extensive dedication for these 3 weekends on Lam Rim. Lam Rim is really the basis for your practice. I mean, everything is in there. So the more you study it, the more you get to know it, the more you go in depth, and the more you practice it, meaning you apply these methods, the more you see how powerful this is. Okay. So you make yourself comfortable. Again, happy that it's finished in a way, but not happy that it's finished in a way, now I can do whatever I want, but happy that we've done it. So there's a different attitude. And never force yourself to do Tonglen if you feel like, oh no, thank you, this is not for me. Then you just breathe out healing energy, supporting energy, resources, you know. And not to forget, this is to increase our courage and to decrease the thing that makes us suffer. So before we start, we contemplate the intention to stay present with suffering, which is called the Bodhisattva intention, not to shy away, not to run away. We just do a few minutes of mindfulness of breathing, a practice that helps us to be grounded. And then, especially if you're not so used to do that meditation regularly, take the attitude that you are in a safe space. Wherever you are practicing should feel like a good place for working with annoyance, anger, grief, anxiety, and whatever else comes up. And so that the safe becomes a safe place, which is in your mind. Remind yourself that if something arises and you can't handle it right now, it's fine to return to the breath and take a more relaxed approach to practice. This goes for any Dharma practice. Do not force yourself. Do not suppress anything. But touch it with mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. And very helpful, connect with absolute bodhicitta, the enlightened mind. Absolute bodhicitta refers to the mind that is always and already awake, beyond doubt or fixation. It is the aspect of our awareness that is always observing, yet not caught up in thought. have a moment of feeling completely open, not fixated on any object of mindfulness. Just be aware that everything, even though it appears as being totally real, does not exist the way that it appears. If you look for it, if you search for it, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper, and all you find is absence of real I, real me, real this or that. Again, sometimes very helpful to say, hey, what I think is totally real is just like a movie. How do I want to play my part? Also a good question. I have a choice how I want to play my part. I have the part of being me, Swiss, female, nun. How do I want to play this? Don't take it so seriously and fixate it. Then you connect with relative bodhicitta. It refers to the active expression of compassion in the world. The mind experiences vulnerability, trauma, and confusion, and it meets these situations courageously. You might physically feel your heart center, noting the fragility of a heartbeat, or you could recall a difficult, yet psychologically manageable memory that connects you with your soft spot. It should be a memory that makes you feel tender in an interconnected and energized sense, not one that provokes personal shame or overwhelming fear. Something painful, but not too big. So it's really good to work with texture and first to get kind of the rhythm of the whole thing. So as you inhale, think that pollution enters your body, smoke, darkness, or just a general feeling of difficulty and obstruction. But because you have connected with absolute bodhicitta, the mind that is always open and observing, this negativity has nowhere to stick in your body. So it can be processed and transformed. To aid this, you might imagine that your body is not really solid, but made of a kind of holographic, light-based substance. You think you kind of dissolve the solidity of your body, and whatever you're breathing in, sticky, hot, dark, heavy, yucky, it can't stick. It gets transformed. Sometimes good also, or it's helpful that you think that your heart chakra is like a filter where this kind of negativity, dark stuff gets sucked in. It gets transformed, and then as you exhale, imagine releasing pure, bright, nourishing air. The body becomes like a recycling plant, accepting pollution and sending out clean energy. So we're not thinking about anything specific yet. Just by breathing in, you think you're breathing pollution, dark, hot, sticky, heavy. You can bring it to your heart chakra if you feel like it, or otherwise you just think also the body acts like a vacuum cleaner and just goes, it just sucks it in. We're a recycling plant, so what comes out is only helpful, light, healing, supporting, bringing the resources that are needed and the support that is needed. Do that for a while. Chogyam Trungpa very simply says, bad in, good out. Bad in, good out. Until we got to technique and it comes natural, we don't have to think about it. And then we start to kind of personalize the whole thing. And it's always good to start with ourselves. So don't think about the past. Whatever is finished, it's finished. But if the past has brought you present suffering, you can think about that one. So instead of chasing it away, instead of not wanting it, you breathe in the future suffering of like this evening, tomorrow, next month, years, that you think you might encounter. And as you breathe out, you give yourself all the support, all the resources, all the care, all the love, all the compassion, wisdom that you think your future self will need. You breathe in, may I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. I take them upon myself right now. As you breathe out, may I be happy and at ease with whatever is. And you give yourself the resources to be able to do that. And we with ourselves, you know, we can look at ourselves quite far away in the future. That we all think that we're going to age well. We are not the ones who will be dement or have Alzheimer's or be kind of abandoned, neglected, can't look after ourselves. We think it will not happen to us, isn't it? Well, all the people who are in this state now, they also thought like that. But we don't know. And what is most difficult is to help them because they don't want to be helped. They want to be independent. They're locked into their misery of having lost their capacities. So if we take the suffering of that person already now, that is the future me, plus all the others who are in this situation. We breathe in the fear, the sadness, panic, the aggression. We all know it from elderly or old. We think this is my future self experiencing that. I take it upon myself right now. Transform it in our heart chakra. As we breathe out, we give our future self, and all other beings are in exactly the same situation, whatever we think we will need as an old person. So that when we feel it's coming, we're not shocked, we're not surprised, we can accept, and we will be able to accept help. Same way as the future self now learns to accept the support, the relief, the healing, the compassion, the wisdom in the form of light. But this is quite difficult because we think, oh, if I visualize like this, I will become like this. Oh, even you don't visualize like this, you could become like this. We have to be prepared for that. And then even with Alzheimer's or dementia or being totally depending on others, we can still be happy. And we might even be able to do the meditation for beings who are in the same situation. So again, heavy stuff in with some texture, dark, sticky, hot, pollution, heavy, transforms into light, healing, fresh resources, happiness, love, compassion, wisdom, whatever. And we see that our future self can receive the help, the support. Instead of feeling angry about not being independent anymore, which is a total illusion anyway, we are never independent. You think we have freedom, but we don't. Totally depending on others. So anyway, instead of being angry and aggressive about having lost your so-called independence, very gracefully we can accept help. And we see it as kindness instead of feeling that we are being controlled. And then you can, very spontaneously just think whoever comes into your mind. Or you can stay with yourself and feel your present suffering and think about all the other people who kind of suffer from the same trauma, shortcoming, confusion, not getting what we want, having what we don't want, all these things. I'm thinking, I'm not the only one. Then we see, because I suffer, that becomes the cause for thinking about the suffering of others. So my suffering all of a sudden becomes meaningful. Because then I have a wish for me and others to be free from suffering. and I develop compassion. Very often we have a feeling of not good enough. I'm not good enough to be loved. I'm not good enough to be that and this. We breathe out skills, adequacy, self-confidence. We take in my own very low self-confidence, confusion, being tense, being embarrassed. And we breathe out liberating courage, bringing life. Very spontaneously, you can think of people that you know in your family, friends, or just acquaintances. Just let the mind free, and you think whoever kind of would need this energy, and you think about how everybody struggles in some way. With each inhalation, accept or just stay present with the difficulty of that particular person or group of persons. And with each exhalation, and without too much judgment, send to them whatever might help their situation. And she even says, if you think ice cream would help the person, you don't have to contemplate whether or not it's good for their diet. Just exhale ice cream. If you don't know what they need, imagine that you're sending them healing light as you exhale. Again, you can use your own words when you exhale. Light, healing, bringing support, resources, relief, love, compassion, peace, space, freedom. I think somebody is vacuuming on top of me. So instead of being disturbed by the noise, by the sound, we can think, oh, breathing in like the vacuum cleaner. Then it gets transformed. Breathing out, giving whatever this person or these people need. But by breathing in really like the vacuum cleaner, very powerful way, just go and take all of it, not just part of it. Feel heaviness in your heart, the resistance, then you think this is absolutely normal. Because The self-cherishing is afraid. You can calm it down. Don't worry, this is good for us that we do this. It will make you stronger, not as self-cherishing, but as love and compassion. So while we maintain the inhale-exhale cycle, visualize suffering beyond any individual level. You could expand spatially outwards from your body, allowing in all the suffering in your building, your block, your neighborhood, and so on. But just expand the mind that you think that whomever I think about has some sort of struggle. We're all the same. We all are stuck with what we don't want, and we don't have what we really want, meaning space, peace, happiness. Or you could do Tonglen for suffering groups, your family, a struggling community, a war-ravaged country, but that we heard about Eritrea and Ethiopia lately again, Afghanistan, Syria, Lebanon. Lebanon is not war, but it's terrible situation, almost hopeless. Many, many other parts of this world, Haiti. Either way, let the group size gradually expand until you are taking in suffering directionlessly, like no direction, like or all directions, all around, and breathing out ease and healing light in all directions. And you can imagine that's not just coming from your heart, but it's coming through every pore in your body. Then finally return to resting in open awareness for as long as it lasts, until you are swept away by. In this last stage, relative and absolute bodhicitta are unified in practice because they are never truly separate to begin. This is choiceless awareness, just let anything arise, what wants to arise, noticing there's so much space in our mind. You don't have to limit ourselves. Mind is absolutely spacious. That's our nature. Then close by following the breath and letting any tension or pain that arose in the practice dissolve as you exhale. Breathe extra deeply if it feels good. maybe even sighing a few times. Let go into a relaxed and present state of mind. Very helpful also, you breathe in through your mouth, your nose, you breathe out through your mouth, making a very small sound of breathe into your nose, out press through your mouth by just saying very soft. So then she continues by saying Tonglen on the spot. Whenever you bear witness to suffering in your daily life, do Tonglen for 1 to 3 breaths. For example, if someone yells at someone else on the street, breathe in the argument and breathe out understanding. You can also do this for yourself. If someone hurts your feelings, it can just be as quick as 1 cycle of breath. You don't even have to stop what you are doing, just invest enough energy to stay present, suffering on the spot, without over-analyzing it. In my experience, doing Tonglen on the spot, even 3 times within a busy day, builds the heart muscle of compassion in a truly transformative way. Okay. So we just have to remember, isn't it, that we have this amazingly powerful method to do. I had a nun friend who was very sick in Austria and couldn't even, get up from her bed anymore. And because she couldn't sleep, so she was doing Tonglen all the time because she had so much suffering and pain. So she would take the pain and the suffering, and she was so happy. It was such a pleasure to be with her until she died. It was quite amazing. So, she could have felt totally useless because she couldn't get up anymore, but she was incredibly happy, and that was her main practice. So, okay, so we can do a little bit extensive dedication, which is by Lama Zopa Rinpoche. I think I found it in the prayer book, and it's in the Shakyamuni Buddha meditation, the daily meditation practice. So again, as we say the words, try to have your heart go with it, not just the words. So as a result of all my own merits, is it big enough, or shall I make it a bit bigger maybe? Better. As a result of all my own merits of the 3 times and the merits of all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and sentient beings, may the altruistic wish to achieve enlightenment be generated in my mind and in the minds of all sentient beings without even a second's delay. May that altruistic wish that has already been generated be increased. Whatever suffering sentient beings experience, may it ripen on me. Whatever merit and its resulting happiness I have accumulated, may it ripen upon others. So this is practicing charity with our positive energy that we have, we give it away. So you don't have to worry if you're doing something positive, if you give the merit or the positive potential away to others, you don't have to worry that you do it out of self-concern. Then for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and of course for all other beings, the long life prayers in the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and goodness. All powerful Chandresik Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. May the glorious Guru's lives be long and stable. May all beings equaling the extent of space have happiness. May I and others without exception accumulate merit and purify negativities. And may we be blessed to quickly attain Buddhahood. Due to the merits of the 3 times created by me, by others, and by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, may we be able to meet perfectly qualified Mahayana virtuous friends in all our future lives. From our side, may we always see them as enlightened. May we always perform only actions most pleasing to the holy mind of the virtuous friends. May we always be able to fulfill their holy wishes immediately. Because of these merits, may my actions never cause even the slightest harm to any sentient being. Instead, may they bring only the greatest of benefit. Whatever suffering or happy life I experience, may it be only of the greatest benefit to others, causing them to achieve enlightenment as quickly as possible. Due to all the merits of the 3 times accumulated by me and by others, merely by seeing, hearing, remembering, touching, or talking to me, may any being be freed in that very second from all their sufferings, diseases, spirit harms, negative karmas, and obscurations, and abide in the peerless happiness of full enlightenment forever. Like Lama Tsongkhapa and all the other sages or teachers, may I be able to offer extensive benefits equaling the limitless guide to all sentient beings and the teachings of Buddha from now in all future lives by having all the qualities of Lama Tsongkhapa within me, or all the other wonderful teachers. Then this verse is quite important also, just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are. I dedicate all these virtues in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. Because we don't know how to dedicate, because we dedicate with a view of there's me, real me doing a real dedication for real other beings. But Manjushri and Samantabhadra, they saw emptiness, so they dedicated with emptiness. So when we say, I dedicate like them, because me, I don't know how to dedicate yet, so then we dedicate like them. So it's another very skillful way. Whatever dedication the victorious ones gone to bliss of the 3 times I've admired as best, I shall also perfectly dedicate in the same way all these roots of virtue, so that I might perform good works, meaning the Bodhisattva's deeds. Now we seal the whole thing with emptiness due to the merits which are empty from their own side, accumulated over the 3 times by me, by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May I, who is empty from my own side, achieve the state of Shakyamuni Buddha's enlightenment, which is empty from its own side, and lead all sentient beings who are empty from their own side to that state as quickly as possible by myself alone. Okay. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Anila.
You're very welcome. So this ends this Lam Rim kind of teaching is a high word, yeah. So we've been discussing the Lam Rim. We've been looking at the Lam Rim. Again, for the last meditation, I have the tablet here, so I was trying just to read, but then I added a few things. So anyway, take whatever you find is helpful. Whatever you find is not helpful, just leave it to the side for now, but then maybe take it up at one point again and see how everything actually, when we look, really fits all together.
Any more weekend retreats in the near future?
With the Dharma Friends, definitely, but I don't know when. You would have to look for their website.
Forgiveness can be a very good topic.
Forgiveness, we always do at Yom Kippur. That's already done. So you'll probably find it in the YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
So we usually do the whole day on Yom Kippur on the art of forgiving. Yeah, I think, just doing also a whole weekend on Tonglen with people who are familiar with the practice, so we don't need to explain so much, so that it's the real practice. But actually what will happen, what I saw on the Dharma Friends website, is Shachar, who is leading in Parmonash, maybe one day, or is it 2 days? Tomer? I think it's only 1 day, isn't it? Shabbat.
Yes, it's exactly Saturday, 27th of November.
Yeah, so if you can, go, because it will be on emptiness and, based on the teachings of Keshe Dorje Damdru. And it's real joy to practice together, even if there's just a few people. So, it needs a little bit of a push, I know, because Zoom is so, is so practical, and it's so, you switch off the computer, you're already home, you can get on with your life. And, you don't have to go to a place. It's better for the environment, I do admit. Zoom is definitely better for the environment. So if you do go, try to go, do car sharing. That might be, so at least we try to make something for the environment, and we're not everybody taking their own car. And look for a ride. I think I'm not sure. Anyway, you can, usually with the Dharma Friends, if you need a ride, you can usually call the manager, and then they look for a ride. And yeah. So try to go, because one thing is emptiness is really, really important, because otherwise bodhicitta becomes too heavy, right? If you're not really meditating on that, on emptiness, or you don't know what we are destroying when we do Tonglen, we don't know what we are refuting when we talk about self-cherishing. So then you can kind of burn out trying to destroy the wrong thing, something like that.
Since, Anila, since there was a question about future courses, then I will also say that there is a course in December with Geshema about the weekend course on Buddha nature. So we will publish it, yeah. Very
good. So you see, because usually, I am in Israel at that time of the year. So then usually in November, I'm done, and then I go back to Europe. So now, and then it's Geshema coming. So for many years, it was like this. So we kind of keep that rhythm. Yeah. So my job is done with this weekend.
And we also hope to see you live in Israel, of course.
Yeah, I will have to see now, because now in Switzerland they're starting to give the third vaccine. The thing is, I will probably have to lie, because I had COVID, but I was vaccinated twice, because I knew I needed, that was in the spring, I knew I needed two shots in order to enter Israel. So I didn't say anything that I had COVID. And now, if you want a third shot, you have to fill out the form I saw in order to register on the internet. And they ask, have you had COVID? So I have to say no, because otherwise they might say, well, no, then we're not giving you the third shot, because you already had two. But I need three vaccines in order to enter Israel. Otherwise,
not if you had COVID.
No. But I had COVID in January. It's more than 6 months ago, and I don't have proof, because
you
I didn't
do a serological test to see if you have antibodies.
No. I tell you, I've been looking at the website of the Israel Embassy. I need to be vaccinated 3 times, or having had COVID within 6 months of my stay in Israel.
Oh, okay.
And I had COVID in January.
I see.
So now it's see, when you have to lie, it starts to get complicated.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, this is what it is. Now I don't know what to do. When I fill out the form, shall I really, a very clear lie when I say, no, I didn't have COVID? I don't know yet. But anyway, I have to wait until middle of November to register for the vaccine, and then I don't know how long it lasts, and then I have to wait 2 weeks. So, but I'm still planning to come if they give me the third vaccine. Edouard, what did you want to say?
I wanted to ask a question about Tonglen, if it's still possible.
Yeah, sure. From my side, definitely.
Yeah. So when I practice Tonglen, and it's a bizarre thing that I don't feel any fear, of the heavy stuff that you talked about. Mm-hmm. And it happens sometimes in heavy meditations that I look for the tough feelings, and I don't find them. And I wonder whether it's because I don't have them, or, it happens sometimes, when I ride on the bicycle, sometimes I fall down and I don't even, stay a second to look at myself if I'm right, if I'm okay. I just, hop back on it and go, like nothing. And sometimes I can go home and say, oh, it hurts. So, trying to hide the thing below some kind of blanket, which I don't want to, to lift.
I don't know, you're the only one who can find that out. But that you don't experience any fear, very often it's because we think, oh, it's not going to happen. I will not going to experience the suffering anyway. And we really love to give also, right? But when, for example, if you are able to do, if your neighbor has COVID and the ambulance is coming and takes him to the hospital, and then you think, oh, I'm taking away his pain of not being able to breathe, and you start to breathe in, and all of a sudden you feel that, oh, it's kind of, I can't breathe anymore. And then if you can continue, then that would show that you definitely have no fear, right? So, yeah, it's a little bit, because sometimes it really hits us that I could actually get it. Because I remember that when, we did a lot of beginners courses, Introduction to Buddhism in Tushita, but also in Root Institute in Bodh Gaya. So Root Institute in Bodh Gaya has a clinic. So one day we had a man who had tried to burn himself. Everybody said it's an accident, but it's actually suicide, because this is the cheapest way in India to kill yourself. And it's really, really horrible. So they pour kerosene over themselves and then they put themselves alight. But he wasn't dead, so he was in the hospital. And seeing him, it was just either the skin was black, where it was burned, or it was pink, where there was no more skin. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche was in the center at that time, and I was leading the meditations, and I think Sangye Kadra was doing the teachings. So Rinpoche called me and said, look, the last day of your meditations, you go down to the clinic and you do Tonglen with this man. So then I said, oh, Rinpoche, no, they're all beginners. It's far too advanced for them. It's too difficult. And he didn't say shut up, but he just said, just do it, So I said, oh my gosh, what I wanted to say, this is too much for me. I can't go down there. I don't want to take the suffering of that person. When I look now, I kind of put the others in front of me saying, oh, I need to protect these beginners, something like that. So we went. And so first I went down and told the staff, to really clean, and if there's any bad smells, because there were bad smells down there in the clinic. I don't know if anybody of you knows the clinic in Bodh Gaya. It's very rudimentary. It's not something like a hospital. And so they cleaned and put, Dettol everywhere. So then it smelled like Dettol. And so we went, and I was sitting in front of that person, and I was thinking, okay, if I breathe in his suffering now, and I have an accident and get burned, at least I'm in a place where people look after me, and then at least it makes sense. And also, if I don't have the karma to experience what he is experiencing, I will not be able to experience it. If I experience it, that means I have the karma. That means I will experience it anyway. And it was very, very powerful. So, but I was afraid. At the beginning, I was afraid. But then as you keep doing it, then the fear goes. At one point also, we were doing a nune, which is a practice of fasting and chenresig and compassion, in the room of a person who was actually dying from cancer, because that's what she asked. She wanted to come and do the nune in the center in Bern, and But she said, I can't, I'm too weak. I said, well, if you don't mind, we just come to your place. And so she was very happy about this. And I saw her lying on the bed and, you know, vomiting and just being skin and bones, not being able to breathe and all this. And when you see that and you do at the same time, you visualize yourself as Chenrezig, you don't have so much fear of doing Tonglen, you know. And I felt this very, very, very deep compassion. I mean, it was like, it really helped the practice. I was really happy to have a practice of being Chenrezig and then taking in the suffering and all this, because she was dying at that moment. It was very strong. Nune was probably one of the strongest. It was one of the ones that I was the most concentrated on what I was doing. So it comes with, you know, I can't really answer your question because you're the only one who can see whether it's really like this. So it's not, and it's, you know, sometimes we are, when I walk through India sometimes or walk to Israel also, where there's so much plastic lying around, I start to do spontaneous Tonglen and I breathe in all the plastic. Yeah, and then like this, or you in India, do you have a truck that goes by and, you know, he shifts and there's this black smoke coming out? Then you breathe in very deeply so that nobody else has to breathe it in. And then you see what the ego is doing. If it says, wow, you're courageous, very good. Or it says, are you crazy? What are you doing? Stop it. Yeah. This is like Leora Kennett was kind of bringing that example at one point, that she understood that Tonglen is like this. Like when you have the pollution coming out of a truck and you breathe, especially deep, you breathe it in so that nobody else has to breathe it in. So, you know, it's good to discuss what you experience by doing Tonglen. I think for me, what really helps is that when I am doing Tonglen on the spot, I don't feel so helpless and I'm focused. And that already helps the other person. That I don't have a feeling of, oh, I'm hopeless and I'm useless. I want to get out of here as quickly as possible. So I don't have this remote compassion, you know, I want to help, but I don't know how, so I better go and I can forget about the whole thing. So I don't have to sit here and feel useless. It's a terrible feeling. I don't know if you've ever experienced it. You know, somebody suffering, whatever you say, it's not penetrating in. Whatever you do is not making the person feel more calm. This is especially with dying people. So then when we start doing Tonglen, at least you calm down. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Yeah, thank you everyone who work hard to bring the teaching to Israel. Thank you everybody who participates also, especially because, you know, if nobody participates, then there's no more teachings. Yeah, so, but thank you, Tomer, also for taking the time to listen to things that you know long ago and that you probably are able to explain even better than I am, because I really feel that, you know, I lose a lot of my capacity. So I'm still going to do the Wednesday evenings, but maybe formal teachings, maybe better not, because I find Dharma something really serious. And so when I feel myself babbling around about something, then maybe, you know, there's so many good Western teachers actually coming up. One of them is Geshe Namdak. So it's not only Geshe Ma, it's also Geshe Namdak. He is a Dutch Geshe, yes, who has had, like Geshe Ma, like the real good traditional Tibetan Buddhist education, but, you know, being able to transform that into Western terms. So it's Geshe Namdak, who is from Holland. He's teaching for the Jamyang Center in London. And there's more waiting in Sera who are undergoing the Geshe program, like Venerable Namjong, Venerable Gache, young people, really good, having had traditional teachings. So that's wonderful.
I heard Geshe Namdak explaining His Holiness, and it was very, very, very good. But I want to say something about you, Ani Losang.
No, don't.
No. I'm just saying that I can remember why I entered the Dharma Friends. And it was because of your teaching Lam Rim in Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
And I think that the way that you teach and the way that you bring the Dharma to people is really exquisite. Don't start crying on me.
No, I'm not crying. I just have something in my eye.
I really urge you not to stop.
Yeah, I said I would do discussions, but not teachings.
No,
Rather, I'm going to cut you. You know, you hurt me 20 years ago.
But I'm your age and I know.
Yeah, so you aged with me, so you don't see the difference.
We'll talk about that.
I can feel the difference. You know, I cannot focus properly anymore. And I feel uncomfortable, and then I don't know what to say. And it's like, I can't even prepare properly anymore. So it's like, there's a time where it's time to kind of stop. But I'll still be around, and I still see you in private. And I continue with the Wednesday evenings with this wonderful text there. At least I have the help of Shanti Deva, where he gives me the verses that we can think about and reflect about and all this. Okay?
Okay.
But I will still come to Israel, don't worry.
I'm not worrying at all. I was
you're not rid of me yet. So I still come. I love Israel too much not to come anymore. Even, you know, it doesn't have to be as a formal teacher. It can just be as a visiting nun. So that's okay.
That will be lovely. Yeah.
But anyway, thank you very much. And have a nice Saturday evening and a good week. And maybe see you Wednesday.
Thank you for the
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anila.
Thank you, Anila. See you on Wednesday.
Thank you.
And bye.
תומר, אני יכולה לשאול משהו?
כן.
איפה אני יכולה למצוא את הדברים שהיא מקריאה, את הטיצ'ינג שכתוב? יש את זה באיזשהו מקום בידידי הדרמה?
אני יכול לבדוק, אני יכול לשאול אותה. היא השתמשה
הם אמרו בשיעור הראשון איפה זה, אבל לא בדיוק קלטתי איך אני יכולה להגיד.
חלק מהטקסטים זה שלה, אני רגע אשלח לך משהו. כן, אבל אני אשלח לך, בוא נראה אם יש כאן משהו. אוקיי. רגע.
ביי.
ביי ביי, נתראה, תודה שבאת.
ביי ביי.
אוקיי, אז בלינק הזה...
איפה? אתה שולח לי בצ'אט כאילו?
כן, תסתכלי